Okay, so in this video, I'm going to show you how to make your own particle components, similar to the one that comes already in Create Studio. And you might be asking, well, what do I need this if I already have one in Create Studio? The reason is that you don't have much control over what you can use for particles in the particular particle component that comes in Create Studio. And I'm going to show you that first, and then I'm going to show you how you can make your own component particle using this here. So first, let's bring one on to the stage, and they can be found up here under Effects and Components. Click on Components, and you can drag this down over here like this. And by default, you get what looks like a space scene, or snow maybe. Okay, so when you put the component on, you do have some things you can do with it. You can change the colors, you can change the size, and you can change the quantity, like how many you see. And then you have this button here that says shape, and you can come down here and you can change the shape. So I can change it into arrows, or I can change it into these little chart things here. You know, it comes with a bunch of things in it that you can use. But it seems like whenever I need one, it never comes with the shape that I want to use. It has some presets as well, and the presets are different things. This one here looks like confetti. Here you have a bunch of X's, you have a bunch of stars, some ducks. But like I said, it's not always something that I want to use. I'll give you an example. I did a video the other day, and at the end, I wanted to have some coffee cups raining down with my last message to my viewers. And so I ended up having to make it myself because they didn't have anything that looked like a coffee cup. So I'm just going to show you how this works here. And you have all kinds of controls here that you can use for it. You can make it pulsate, you can swing, you can orbit, all kinds of things. So I'm going to get rid of this because that's not what I want to do. So I'm going to come back over here to the beginning where I started, and this is the coffee cup that I used in my video. So I'm going to show you how to do it with all of these. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the coffee cup onto the stage. I'm going to stretch it out to about 10 seconds. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to shrink it down. And then I'm going to put a few more of them on here. So I'm just going to duplicate this a couple of times. And I'm going to put one over here, and I'm going to turn it a little bit, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. And I'm going to take another one, and I'm going to turn that one upside down. And I'm going to make that one slightly larger. So now I've got about 3 different sizes of cups here. We'll make this one a little bit bigger. And they're all facing in different directions. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to group them all together. And once they group together, I'm going to click on this little lightning bolt here. That's the batch animations. So what I'm going to do with that is I want my cups to spin. So I'm going to give them an angle. Let's say, I don't know, 180 degrees. And I can adjust how fast they spin. I'm going to slow them down. I don't want them to spin too fast. So I'm going to put it at 20. And I'm going to leave the randomness at 50. So they don't always spin the same way. Okay, let's just click play and see what it does so far. Okay, not bad. You see, they're all pretty random. They're not all doing the same thing. That's what we want. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate these. So I'm going to do duplicate. Once I've done that, I'm going to spin them around a little bit. And I might even change the size here a little bit. Like so. Okay, so now when you hit this, you're going to see they got there's no rhyme or reason. They're flipping in all different directions. They're not synchronized in whatsoever. And that's what you want. You want it to be as random as possible. Once I've done that, the next step is going to be to group these again. And you go to Properties, and you're going to do Tiles. And you're going to turn on the tiling. So now you can see that they've already duplicated themselves. And we can pull them in a little bit closer. But you don't want them to overlap, because then you're going to end up with this. And you don't want that. So let's leave them like this. And same thing here. You don't want them to overlap, because then they're going to show the flat parts. You don't want that. So now that you've got them in here, you can see, oh, right here is not good. You can see this one here. So we're going to fix that. So we're going to go back to the tiling. And we're going to put this one back up here like so. Okay, there's only one step left, and that's now the movements. So what you're going to do is, you can make this as long as you want. You could have made this, a minute long if you want. I'm only going to make it 10 seconds here just for this demonstration. But you could have stretched this out to a minute or 2 minutes or whatever. And you could have had a whole scene running with these. So the last step to do in this is just to add motion. So I'm going to put position, and I'm going to put bottom. And I'm going to stretch it out for the whole length here. And I'm going to adjust this so that it's linear. Now you can see you've got coffee cups falling down. And this is going to continue as long as you have your group here. And the reason is that you have the tiles on. So it's just going to keep repeating and repeating until this is over. I'm just going to show you, just for the heck of it, I'm going to show you. I'm going to bring it out to 40 seconds. I'm just going to come in here. And I'm going to stretch these out to 40 seconds. And I'm going to come in here and stretch all of these out to 40 seconds. Just so you can see what I mean. If we go back to the main menu, you bring this like so as well. And you'll see, now it's going to run for as long as you want. Now you can adjust the speed simply by changing the amount of time here. Or you can also change the speed by the positioning. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that. So I'm going to pull back here. Like, let's say, for instance, I wanted this to move faster. So what I'm going to do is, if I adjust where the cups themselves are, it's going to make them go faster or slower. So basically what's going to happen is, in order for this to get over here, it has 40 seconds to get the cup to get to here. If I want to change that and make it go faster, all I have to do is take this and move it down here, for instance, like so. Now it's got to travel a further distance to do the same thing. And actually, I did that incorrectly. So I'm just going to go back one here. And you see where it is up here? What I should have done is I should have come over here to do that. I should have pushed it up further like this. There you go. Now the cups are moving faster. Let's say, for instance, you wanted to have the cups not be the main focus. What you could always do is come here and you could go to the properties. And you could adjust things, like, for instance, the opacity. You can take the opacity down. So now whatever's in your scene is going to be front and center more than the cups. The cups kind of faded now into the background. Now, the good thing about this is that you can take this, and I'm going to stretch out just a little bit more. You can right-click on it, and you can say, save it to my scenes. And before I do that, though, I'm going to rename it. So I'm going to call it My Particle Cup. Okay. Now I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to save it to my scenes. And you can see I've done this once before. This is the one I used for my video. But now I actually can go in and delete this completely. Because now it's saved in my scenes. I can just drag it back on. And I'm going to put the opacity back up to make it easier to see. And there you have it. You have your cups floating down again. And that's going to keep going as long as you have the group here running. Okay, so I'm going to delete this one just for the sake of the video. I'm going to delete it. I could reuse the same one, just go in and swap out the image. But I want to show you again now with another one. Let's say, for instance, in this one, I want to have two different images in the particle effect. So what I can do is I can drag them both on, and I'm going to drag this out to 40 seconds right away. And I'm going to drag on the pumpkin. I'm going to make the pumpkin a little bit smaller because he's kind of big. Same thing here with this guy. I'm going to make him a little bit smaller. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to duplicate him a couple of times. Same thing with the mummy. I'm going to duplicate him a couple of times. So I'm going to take one. I'm going to put him over here. I'm going to turn him around. And I'm not going to make him any bigger this time. I'm just going to leave him the size that he is. And same thing here with the pumpkin. I'm going to take the pumpkin, going to turn him like this. Bring this pumpkin over. Going to turn him a little bit like that. Like I said, it doesn't really make a lot of difference the direction that they are because they're going to be spinning anyway. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to group this whole thing together. Doing Control G. And I'm going to duplicate the whole thing. And now I'm going to do something like this. And if you notice that some of your guys are overlapping or you don't like the way they look, you can always go in and move one. You can even just do it here like this. You can do something like that. So now you got a bunch of mummies and a bunch of pumpkins. So now I'm going to group that together again. I'm going to do a batch animation. And again, I'm going to angle it. And this time we're going to go less. I'm only going to go 90 degrees. And maybe we'll put it at 50 this time. So they spin a little bit faster. Click off. Okay, so you got those in there. Now you can do the tiling again. Turn on the tiling. And you can see right away that you've got them here. If you want to make them smaller, you can make them smaller now too as well. You see here. And I'm going to go back in here and I'm going to adjust these a little bit like that, just so that I don't end up with any blank spots. And now we're going to adjust the tiling a bit. Let's see if we can adjust it so we don't end up with guys disappearing. You can see here, the reason why they're disappearing is because of this here, see? I got to move them like that so everybody's in the scene. The only thing I don't like is this here. So I'm going to go into this one. I'm going to move that pumpkin up a bit. Over here like so. So he's still in the scene, but he's not quite as close to the other one. And I'm going to go back to the main timeline. So now you've got a bunch of pumpkins and a bunch of mummies here. Now I'm going to apply the motion. So I'm going to say bottom again. And you can change this. You can make them go up. You can make them go left. You can make them go right. It always works. So now, just doing this, you're going to see. Let's stretch this out. It's not working exactly the way it's supposed to. I wonder if you can figure out what's wrong. Yeah, I'm going to tell you what's wrong. The problem is where we applied the batch animation. So we're going to go in. I'm going to come here like this. I'm going to go to the batch animation. I'm going to remove it from here. So if that happens to you, all you have to do is just drag it back down to 0. It wipes it out. Now we're going to go in and we're going to do the batch animation, but on the inner one. So this one here, we want these guys to spin, not the whole graphic. So we're going to come over here. Oops. Sorry, we're going to come over here to batch animations. And we're going to apply the same thing we did before. We're going to put it around 90. And I'll put this at 50. And we'll leave the other one at 50. I'm going to delete this. I'm just going to duplicate this one here so to make it a little easier and go a little faster. Like so. I think that's okay. I'm going to go back to the timeline, and you should see a difference now. One thing that you won't see when you scrub through the timeline is you don't see batch animations happening. That only happens when you actually run the program. So if I do this, you can see now everybody's spinning. And you could use this for a Halloween scene. You can adjust the amount that they're spinning. You can make them spin more or less. You can go in and make some of them bigger, some smaller. You can apply different batch animation if you want. Like I'm going to run this a little bit. I'm going to make these a little bit bigger so they're not all the same size. Like so. There's a little bit of overlap here. We'll see what happens when we do that. And we hit play. And there you go. Now you have mummies and pumpkins falling down to help decorate your scene. You can put text in here if you want. Let's say, for instance, I wanted to come in here and I wanted to add some text. let's say I want to add Happy Halloween in here. Let's go all the way here to the end. This over here. Get my and we're going to give it a different font. Something a little scarier. There we go. That looks good. And we can give it a couple of more. We can duplicate this a couple of times. Do the same thing. We'll do one this way. We'll do one another way, upside down. And we'll just leave it like that. Like I said, if I was going to do something else, I would be more precise as to where it is, but we're just doing a demonstration here. There you go. Now Happy Halloween is spinning around too. You could put different colors, do all kinds of different things. And now you have a particle effect using mummies, pumpkins, and the word Happy Halloween. Well, that's what I wanted to show you. I find this comes in handy when you want to do holiday type videos, when you want to do, something special that you want to put on YouTube or in a TikTok video. Makes a great background, and they're fun and they're unique. Whatever you make is going to be unique to you. Nobody else is going to have it. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope you got something out of it. And I hope to see some of your effects that you're going to be doing. The whole thing is to practice. I had a need. Create Studio didn't have what I needed. So I figured out a way of doing it without having to use a component that came in Create Studio. I decided to create my own component. So don't forget to subscribe and to like the video. It really helps me out. These videos take quite a bit of time to do. This one I'm just doing unscripted. So you saw sometimes things don't always work the way you want them to. But for the most part, it's trial and error. And you can make some really cool stuff if you really put your mind to it.